It's news and information time. It's 3:24. We're back to Talk Shop this afternoon with Gary Eagles, who now has become 50% more popular in the last 3 minutes.
It's amazing what happens.
Power radio, baby.
That's exactly proven it to be true today.
So, yeah, you want to do the formal introduction now that we have to talk with him instead of about him?
Yes, our second guest here is Drew Widows. Drew is a senior at Fortuna High School, and his concept is on New Age farming, where he is going to raise trout and then use the trout for fertilizing in the hydroponic setting, growing fruits and vegetables that grow inside. I mean, he's got a whole ecosystem going on, and he's going to tell you all about it.
Okay, now wait a minute. You said hydroponics and fish growing. You're not going to have apple trees in the aquarium, are you?
Well, if I can break it down further, it's the fish are going to be swimming in their tank, and they do their little thing, and I will pump the water into grow beds. The grow beds have no soil, so it's just the water for the plants. The plants clean up the water, they take out all the little fertilizer they like, and they grow. They grow fast and big, a lot bigger than hydroponics. If I wanted to, I could have apple trees outside of the greenhouse and drip feed them, if that was so chose. But otherwise, it's just growing. For a couple examples, things like broccoli and lettuce, different herbs, and I would sell those along with the trout.
So it's kind of like a true definition of an organic farm.
Yes, because I don't have to add anything except for the fish food. And this is called aquaponics.
Aquaponics.
Yes.
Not to be confused with like fish farms.
Fish farms are aquaculture, and the hydroponics is putting fertilizer in the water for the plants, but this one I don't have to do that.
So as you're looking at this particular project, or John with your project, how do you guys know what is real, what is theory, what is best case scenario, what is reality, what is, okay, let's say government regulation comes in, guys, and all of a sudden your workers' comp is going to go up 25 times because you're playing with sharp things, John. And EPA comes in and says, oh boy, you know that water that you're kicking out? Oh, you're going to have to run that one through the sewer treatment plant.
Oh.
I mean, things like that are really kind of goofy, way out on the edges. Do you worry about that? Or do you just kind of focus on the main and try to drive through between the lines?
Well, when I tried looking at some of the costs and variables, I looked at the higher ends and the low ends of what I'd be making to try and come out with this is the scenario, but it could look a lot better. But this is the low end, and EPA wise, everything is closed circuit. I don't have to pump out any water, say like the aquaculture hydroponics.
Oh, so the nutrients will stay.
The nutrients stay, and the fish pump out all their little nutrients from eating, and that water gets circulated into the plants, and they take up all those nutrients, and the clean water goes back into the tanks.
So it's almost like a self-filtering
Yes,
process?
It's a self-filtering.
And then what do you feed the fish?
I feed the fish fish feed. Any
just regular?
Well, because these are trout, they're going to have more particular need for fish food. But yeah,
mosquito larvae?
Mosquito larvae, but mainly just a nutrient pellet form that I would dump in for them, and that'll change as they grow.
Stuff that most folks would comparable would be the fish food from the pet store, but on steroids.
More like the koi fish food.
Okay.
If anyone has a pond.
So John, with the knives and stuff, how'd you play the scenarios of the what ifs?
Well, I think with any business concept or business that you own, I think there's always going to be variables like that, and with especially something that's higher risk. I mean, I know I've had a couple injuries in the past just practicing sharpening knives, and me giving basically something very unsafe to somebody, you know, it can be, that's insurance and things like that can be a factor. I haven't had that yet, but I am considering into my cost and my time and what it will cost eventually if I get large enough, on a large scale, to have to pay for that, and having coworkers and employees that will be using equipment, heavy equipment, and working with dangerous things. So I think that just comes with time.
It's amazing what happens all of a sudden when you get an employee, regardless of how good they are.
It can be a problem. But you know, both of these young men found a niche. Brian, because they researched it. John, of course, researched the market for knife sharpening and found out that there aren't too many folks in town that do that business anymore.
Yeah, I would
Then
think
you
it's almost
have,
like a dying, not
Well-
that it won't be successful, but it's kind of a dying breed, kind of like shoe shine or shoe repair.
Well, when you think creatively about it, now we're not just talking about knives, and we're talking about, you know, for home use, you could be talking kitchen knives for, you know, restaurant industry. You could be talking about
Saw blades,
Scissors,
or scissors.
scissors for, yeah.
salons,
And
tailoring
so-
shops.
So the market is there, and of course, Drew's concept is a whole new horticulture, agriculture market that we aren't tapping here in Humboldt County, but certainly could.
Well, it's not that new. It's actually like a couple thousand years old.
Well,
It's like the history goes all the way back to China with their rice paddies. But it's definitely, for now, being that we have the technology, a really new concept. And because I can grow year-round in a greenhouse with all the food and how much we'll be producing, it's definitely a new way of meeting the need for people who need to eat.
KINS News and Information Times 3:30.
Spring is here.